Tell me, what do you see when you watch Minneapolis burning? An unruly mob spreading violence and chaos? When you look at images of buildings ablaze, what do you see? Destruction and looting?
Look closer, look deeper, beyond the charred remains of buildings, beyond the shattered glass. Look closer, look deeper, into the flames. Look through the smoke. What do you see?
Do you see the fire that has been raging for over 400 years, consuming successive generations of Black lives? Do you see the violence and chaos unleashed on Black bodies in the name of justice so often denied to them?
Do you see the organised looting of opportunities, of human rights, of dignity and humanity? Do you see the millions of scattered and shattered lives strewn about the streets of their city?
Tell me, what do you hear when you watch Minneapolis burn? The cacophony of rioting streets? Police sirens and their promise of order being restored?
Do you hear the smothered lament of a grieving people pleading for hope?
Do you hear the clamour of millions of dissenting voices calling for justice?
Do you hear the suffering cries of a people dying to be seen?
Do you hear him call out for his mum as he breathes his last? Do you hear his plea echoed in the 9-year-old child pleading to his mother?
Mum, it's not my fault that I was born Black.
Maybe all that you can hear is your heart-piercing silence. The one that knows only one protest.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault you have to temper your rage, unlearn to fight, code shift in order to survive.
It's not my fault that you lie awake at night, unable to count the sheep, because your mind is saturated with a dreadful litany of Black lives that couldn't matter less.
It's not my fault that you wake up concussed and consumed by fear and amnesia, your memory beaten to dust, your history whitewashed by revisionist pedagogies.
It's not my fault that your children learn to hide from the police long before they learn to read.
It's not my fault. They are not afforded the privilege of innocence their childhood should give them.
It's not my fault that their mother's only prayer is that they live not to become the next trending hashtag.
It's not my fault that when death comes searching, you are the easiest to find.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
Objection, Your Honour, cries out the blood of the innocents. Like Abel, they demand justice and protest against your dereliction of duty. Like mighty waters, they persist and insist through the violence, devastation, and death. And with open throats, they proclaim, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper.
No. Now is not the time for white guilt or white shame. Now is not the time for white introspection. Now is not the time for white performance.
Now is the time to recognize that my silence is collusion. Now is the time to stand up and speak out. Now is the time to denounce and confront the debilitating forces of white supremacy.
One last thing. Look beyond the charred remains of building. Look beyond the shattered glass, the looting and the unrest. In fact, look beyond the USA. Look closer, look deeper, look at home. What do you see?